I caught my wife having an affair, but what she said when I confronted her will haunt me forever. By the end of this story, you'll understand why some betrayals cut so deep they change who you are at your core. Picture this: you're holding your wife's favorite Thai food, climbing 14 floors to surprise her at work, only to find her in the arms of another man. But that's just where this nightmare begins. What happened next destroyed not just my marriage, but my faith in love itself.
I caught my wife having an affair, but what she said when I confronted her will haunt me forever. By the end of this story, you'll understand why some betrayals cut so deep they change who you are at your core. Picture this: you're holding your wife's favorite Thai food, climbing 14 floors to surprise her at work, only to find her in the arms of another man. But that's just where this nightmare begins. What happened next destroyed not just my marriage, but my faith in love itself. My name is Henry, and this is the story of how I learned that the person sleeping next to you every night can be a complete stranger. A stranger capable of things that would make your blood run cold. Before I tell you how my world collapsed in a single evening, smash that subscribe button if you're ready for a story that will make you question everyone you think you can trust. Because what you're about to hear isn't just about cheating. It's about how betrayal can shatter a person so completely that even their own reflection becomes unrecognizable. The elevator's mechanical hum seemed to mock me as I ascended to the 14th floor, clutching a bag of Thai takeout that had grown cold during my impulsive drive across town. Sarah's favorite pad Thai, the same dish we'd shared on our first date 7 years ago. Too busy to come home before midnight, she'd whispered into her phone that morning, her voice carrying that peculiar strain I'd been hearing for weeks. Something breathless, something guilty. 3 months earlier, Sarah had landed the promotion she'd been chasing since graduate school. Senior financial analyst at Morrison & Associates, a prestigious firm downtown where power suits and corner offices were currency. Her new boss, Richard Morrison, was everything I wasn't: silver-haired, wealthy, commanding. She'd come home that first week glowing, but not in the way I'd expected. Her excitement felt different, electric in a way that made my stomach twist with unease. "Richard says I have real potential," she'd gushed over dinner, her eyes sparkling with something that looked disturbingly like infatuation. "He wants to mentor me personally." Within weeks, those mentoring sessions became late-night strategy meetings, weekend conferences that somehow never had other attendees, business dinners that stretched until bars closed and left her clothes reeking of expensive whiskey and masculine cologne. I started noticing things. The way she'd angle her phone away from me when texting, how she'd suddenly developed a passion for expensive lingerie that she never wore to bed with me. The credit card statements showing charges at restaurants I'd never been to, hotels in the city where she claimed to be working late. But the moment that shattered my willful ignorance came on a rain-soaked Thursday morning. Sarah had left her phone on the bathroom counter while showering, and a text message lit up the screen. From Richard. "Can't stop thinking about last night. You're intoxicating, Sarah. When can we do it again?" My hand shook as I screenshotted the message, bile rising in my throat. 7 years of marriage, and she was throwing it all away for what? A power trip? Money? The thrill of fucking her boss in hotel rooms while I waited at home like some pathetic fool? That evening, I made a decision that would either save my marriage or end it. I would go to her office, confront them both, and force the truth into the light where lies go to die. The Morrison & Associates building stood like a monument to everything I could never provide for her. Glass and steel reaching toward heaven while I remained trapped in middle-class mediocrity. The 14th floor was mostly dark, offices abandoned for the evening, but at the end of the hallway, light spilled from an open door. Sarah's nameplate caught the fluorescent glow like a gravestone marker. As I approached, I could hear them, her laugh, the same laugh that used to be reserved for my terrible jokes, now musical and seductive in ways it had never been for me. His voice, deep and commanding, murmuring things that made her giggle like a teenager. I reached the doorway and peered inside, and what I saw cauterized every remaining illusion I'd harbored about my wife's faithfulness. Sarah was perched on the edge of her desk, her business skirt hiked up, her blouse unbuttoned to reveal black lace I'd never seen before. Richard Morrison stood between her legs, his hands tangled in her auburn hair, his mouth claiming hers with the hunger of a man who'd already conquered her completely. Her arms were wrapped around his neck, pulling him closer, deeper into a kiss that spoke of months of practiced intimacy. This wasn't a moment of weakness or a mistake born of too much wine at a company party. This was choreographed betrayal, rehearsed destruction, deliberate decimation of everything we'd built together. God, Sarah, he groaned against her lips, leaving your husband for me is the smartest decision you'll ever make. The takeout bag hit the floor like a gunshot, Thai curry splattering across the pristine carpet. They sprang apart, Sarah's face cycling through shock, terror, and then something that looked almost like relief. Henry? Her voice was barely a whisper, mascara already beginning to streak down her cheeks. This isn't what? The words scraped out of my throat like broken glass. Isn't exactly what it looks like? Isn't you fucking your boss while I'm at home planning our anniversary dinner? Richard stepped forward, straightening his tie with infuriating composure. Look, Henry, this is unfortunate timing, but Sarah and I, don't you dare try to explain this to me like it's some business merger. You destroyed my marriage. You turned my wife into a liar and a cheat, and you have the audacity to stand there like you're negotiating a contract? Sarah slid off the desk, frantically buttoning her blouse. Henry, please, let me explain. It's not. I never meant for it to happen this way. Cheating isn't a mistake, Sarah. It's not something that just happens when you're not paying attention. It's a choice. A series of choices. Every text message, every lie, every time you looked me in the eye and told me you were working late while you were really spreading your legs for him, those were choices. Her face crumpled, but I felt no satisfaction in her tears. Only a hollow emptiness where love used to live. How long? I asked quietly. Henry, how long, Sarah? I deserved to know how much of our marriage was a lie. She wrapped her arms around herself like armor. 3 months. 3 months. 90 days of living with a stranger who wore my wife's face. 90 days of kissing lips that had been wrapped around another man's promises. I want you out, I said, my voice calm now, almost conversational. Tonight. Take whatever you can carry and get out of my house. Henry, wait, she reached for me, but I stepped back like her touch would burn. This doesn't have to end everything. We can go to counseling. You can't unring this bell, Sarah. You can't unfuck him. You can't unlie to me every day for 3 months. There's no going back from this. I looked at my wife one last time, memorizing the face that had once been my whole world. You know what the cruelest part is? I would have moved mountains for you. I would have worked 3 jobs, sold everything I owned, lived in a cardboard box if it meant making you happy. But apparently, all you wanted was someone else's bed to warm. The divorce took 6 months. Sarah got half of everything, including half of the home we'd built together, half of the savings account that was supposed to fund our future children's college education. She married Richard 8 months later. I heard through mutual friends that she wore the same wedding dress she'd worn to marry me. But this story isn't over yet, because 2 years later I got a phone call that would prove karma doesn't just exist, it has perfect timing and a wicked sense of justice. Sarah was calling me, sobbing so hard I could barely understand her words. Richard had left her for his secretary, a woman 15 years younger who had been carrying on with him for months while Sarah thought they were building their future together. I know I have no right to call you, she choked out, but you're the only person who understands what this feels like. He did to me exactly what I did to you. I could have gloated. I could have told her that karma is a merciless bitch who never forgets an address. Instead, I hung up. Because that's the final lesson betrayal teaches you. Some people only learn empathy when they're drowning in the consequences of their own cruelty. Sometimes the best revenge isn't what you do. It's who you become when you're no longer carrying someone else's poison in your veins. Hit that subscribe button if this story reminded you that your worth isn't determined by someone else's ability to see it, and I'll see you in the next story.